Thanks for being here with me. And I am just so grateful for your presence among the caring for your children, all the work stuff, all the scheduling, making sure that dinner is on the table. There's so much that you could be navigating in your life right now. So it really means a lot that you're choosing to spend your time here amongst other parents, caregivers, and with Clayful, it really means a lot. So welcome. Thanks for being here. And my name is Erica Baim. I am the coach success lead at Clayful. Essentially, my role is to train and manage all of our Clayful coaches who may chat with your children in their school. And in case you're not familiar with Clayful and what we do, I'm just going to give a brief overview of our mission, which is to end the youth mental health crisis. We believe that thriving young people are not created in isolation, rather in community. So it's so special that we get to have a community space here with caregivers, and Clayful partners with schools to create environments where well-being, mental strength, and community support is prioritized. It is something that's proactive, it's accessible, it's a part of daily life, it's normalized. So we really seek to meet students right where they are on their phones, on their screens, providing on-demand chat-based coaching with certified coaches to help kids, young people navigate all the challenges, all the growing pains, all the weight that they may be holding, and to help them reach really important goals and interests in their lives. And we know that it takes a village to raise children and help them thrive. So we don't stop with just supporting young people. We also extend this value to families, which is one of the reasons why we are doing this caregiver webinar today. And we take it even further by extending this coaching support to educators, teachers as well, because we know that educators are managing so much and their jobs are so important. They are quite literally raising future generations, and they cannot do that from an empty cup. So we seek to pour back into our teachers, our school systems and families so that we can all operate from our best and bring our best to raising children and helping them thrive in the world. So this is why Clayful is partnering with the school that your child or children attends, and why we're offering this 4-part webinar series. So if you're just joining for the first one, it's never too late. Welcome, and here's a snapshot of what our webinar series has looked like this month. And yeah, this is the last one. We're going to be talking about staying sane through seasonal shifts and holiday stress. If you weren't able to catch the previous ones, you were likely sent an email with the recording, but if you recently signed up for this webinar in specific, you may not have access to those other ones yet. But we will send a final email with all of our webinar recordings. They're also all on our blog. You can go to clayfulhealth.com, and there's a blog post for each one where you can watch the recording or read a recap and download all of the resources we shared there. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. So today we're going to focus on navigating the emotional highs and lows that come with the holiday season, and sharing practical tools that families can use together to stay grounded, to stay in control, despite the holiday craze and the seasonal shifts that are coming. We're just at the start of the holiday season, so you are able to be proactive about what may usually cause you stress and what you need to manage it before it piles up and becomes too overwhelming. And we're also going to cover some other topics that parents have requested when they registered for these webinars, including how to tackle procrastination and low motivation with your children and also with yourself. as well as how to spot and look for depression. So we'll be hanging out together for 60 minutes today, and we hope you stick to until the end because we just have more to share for you. So be sure to get all the goodies today. So staying sane through seasonal shifts and holiday stress. What does this really mean? I'm going to be sharing about some common things that we may experience in the US culture during this seasonal time of year. And most of the things during the holiday season are life-giving. They're positive. We like them. That's the hope, right? But sometimes life lands as stressful, and these things land as obligations. So we're already balancing the work, taking care of children, the school schedules, and then we throw on all these holiday events or obligations to that. And it can be a lot. We add in these vacations, and then that creates less time to get our work done. You may be stressing about all the little details and everyone else. Like, did we remember to get a gift for the piano teacher? What time are we eating dinner? Who's bringing what to the potluck? Remember that Uncle Joe can't sit by Cousin Jane because they're fighting right now. So all of these things can really overwhelm our systems this time of year. And speaking of family fighting, holidays can also bring families together, but they can also illuminate family issues that are likely always there, but we maybe have some distance from them when we don't have to see those family members all the time. So today we'll also be talking about setting boundaries with family members and also setting boundaries around your schedule so that you can hopefully get more done when you have more things that are potentially added to your plate this time of year. So all of that being said, if you find yourself more tired over holiday breaks when they're maybe supposed to be rejuvenating, just know that you're not alone. And a lot of people attribute this kind of slump or change in mood this time of year to this holiday stress, this holiday craze. And there's actually also a biological and seasonal component. There's a natural energy dip in the winter months. Even if where you live doesn't have drastic seasonal changes in your weather, maybe you don't experience cold, snowy winters like some, regardless of where you live and what is happening, our daylight hours are getting shorter. Our nights are getting longer. And these changes in daylight can cause changes in our brain and in our body's rhythm, which can affect our sleep cycles, in turn affecting our mood, our energy, how we show up in relationships, what we say. It can affect our productivity, our sense of fulfillment, as oftentimes things in life are connected. So it makes sense that we may get a little bit more stressed out or moody this time of year. And holiday stress and seasonal shifts can also play off of each other. During this holiday season, your routines may change. You may be spending more time indoors, having less daylight exposure. There may be more social or obligation demands that you're not used to, which can bring potentially more stress and less self-care, which can amplify these dips in mood even more. So even in places where winter maybe isn't harsh, this reduction in light and the changes in our routines can trigger a dip in our energy or in our mood. And a lot of people don't like that change in mood. We love the summery, energizing, exciting time. So we may resist these feelings. And most people have heard of seasonal affective disorder or seasonal depression, as it's commonly named, which can happen to some people. So personally, you may experience a range in your stress levels or in your mental health this time of year. So we're going to really talk about building mental strength, knowing that this potentially more stressful season is coming up, and allowing yourself to stay in your strength despite what is happening in the weather or in the world. When we talk about mental strength, it often leads to an enhanced ability to experience a healthy amount of stress without becoming overwhelmed. Or, in other words, you are more resilient to handle all of life's events and stressors. In the holiday craze, it can be easy to lose yourself. You may become extra productive, focusing on all the details, all the things outside of you, the gifts, the decorations, the family trips, arranging childcare while kids are out of school. All of these are real things. Or you may end up becoming less productive. Maybe you find yourself more withdrawn, you socialize less, you become less active. So we can be on either end of that spectrum. And I'm not saying any of these experiences are bad or wrong or shouldn't be happening. The fact is, they do happen. They are happening. It is your experience. So, what do you need to get through that experience? What might you accept? What might you change? What could be prevented? What is in your control? These types of questions can help us to build more mental strength and have more control over our lives. So, we're going to be going through some strategies today to help you be more in control, knowing that we're heading into this seasonal shift and holiday season so that you can have more mental strength that really you can apply to any season of your life. What we share today doesn't have to be applicable to the upcoming months. You can apply it all year round. And it's just really important for me to stress and for y'all to realize that it's normal to experience stress, maybe comparison or fatigue this time of year. And because it's normal, it can also be predicted. It's likely that you're going to experience stress if you normally do. So, coaching is what we do at Clayful, and coaching is all about breaking patterns that don't serve us, that don't help us get to the goals we want or create the experience of life that we want to have. Coaching helps break those patterns, and then it helps build new patterns or habits, lifestyle changes, and mindset shifts that allow us to, for example, have a peaceful, fun, and fulfilling holiday season, if that's what we want. So, because we are habitual creatures as humans, it's likely that this upcoming holiday season is going to be similar to how it was last year, and the year before that, and the year before that. So, this is the time where you now get to self reflect and think about what is your typical holiday experience? Think about how it was last year for you. If it was particularly stressful, or maybe a different feeling on this feelings wheel image we have here. Maybe there's parts of it you liked, parts of it that you didn't like. So you will get to discover today, what can you put in place before that stress hits, before the loneliness hits, before the gloom hits, whatever it may be for you, to help prevent it. Because we can prevent what is predictable. So we have this little kind of formula in a sense that we're going to see a couple of different times today. The key to making change is to prevent what's predictable. If we're habitual creatures and how we do something is typically how we're going to keep doing it, then it's actually predictable. We can already guess how it's going to go. And if we can do that, we can also interrupt that pattern and we can do something different. And that's how we make change in our lives. So let's start to get into some of these research-based tools that really emphasize checking in with yourself and creating proactive protocols for when stressful times and emotional ups and downs hit, so that you don't have to lose yourself this holiday season. And we can experience more joy, more connection with our families, all the things that this holiday season is really supposed to be about. So when we talk about preventing what's predictable and interrupting patterns, it starts with seeing what is your reality right now by checking in with yourself. When you're present with yourself to notice, what am I doing? How do I feel? Then you can notice what is the pattern, and then you can interrupt it. So one way we can check in with ourselves is through a body scan that you see on the image here. Body scans show us where we're holding stress because we feel it in the body. Typically, our shoulders are tense. Maybe we are clenching our fists or our ankles. Maybe we feel it in our jaw or our head. And sometimes we don't realize we're stressed until it's too late because we're not actually checking in with ourselves. Instead, we're just pushing through, continuing to check things off the list, doing all the responsibilities. Maybe we feel like we don't have time to slow down and check in. Or we may be ignoring our feelings that we don't like as a self-protection mechanism. So all of this is normal. However, relaxing the body and giving presence to how it feels can help us to lower stress levels, to come back to our baseline. It can help us feel like we actually have more time. So if you notice tension in your body or numbness because you're in your head a lot, check in with how you feel in your body by answering some of these questions on the screen. How is your breath right now? Is it shallow or is it deep? What parts of the body feel tension and can you soften them? Because how we feel in our body can affect how we feel in our mind and in our emotions. So let's actually try this right now. You might close your eyes or you might keep them open, and if they're open, you might gaze away from the screen to just we're looking at screens almost all day. Give your eyes a break from that. And I want you to first bring presence to your forehead. Can you soften your forehead? Maybe you relax your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Maybe you take an exhale. All those things can help soften the stress. And then moving to the jaw. Can you soften there? Your shoulders. Can you soften there? And lastly, your belly. Are you sucking in? Can you soften it? And notice if you feel any different, maybe slightly more relaxed than before I introduced this tool. And you can continue with the rest of your body as well, softening anywhere there's tension. So feel free to take this tool, stick it in your back pocket, and take it out daily to check in with yourself at least once per day to notice where are my stress levels right now. Can I be in control of lowering them a bit? So this little worksheet that you see on the screen is actually a tool that we share with young people. All the tools you're going to see today are ones that we share with students with Clayful Coaching. And in a way, we're going to fill out this worksheet today. So you might find a place that you can take notes, whether it's electronically or on a notepad or in your phone. And by the end of today, you're going to have a list of a couple of things that you can do when you're stressed, perhaps people that you can reach out to, or a couple of things that you can say to yourself that keep you going, that feel empowering to you. So when everything goes haywire, feels overwhelming or out of control, consider your new pattern is to go to this list and do one thing on it to interrupt your overwhelm cycle so that you don't keep doing the thing that the stress makes you do. And you may do as many things on the list as you need until you feel more calm and more back in control. You have a clear head. So one thing you can already put on this list that you can do is this body scan that we just did. And some of the things I shared today, they may not work for you. So don't put that on your list. This list is personalized just for you. And this 3-2-1 calm list is going to be part of your preventative protocol and making change for yourself this upcoming season so that it doesn't have to go the way it's gone in the past that maybe you don't prefer. All right, let's continue moving forward with some other tools. So sometimes young people's moods are low, and this is a tool that we share with them to educate them about chemicals that can be released in the brain and in the body that actually can change our mood. So, as I mentioned earlier, knowing that our mood normally changes with seasonal shifts, sometimes we need to be proactive about our ability to affect our body and the chemicals that it has that helps to lift our mood, help us to be more productive and more connected to the world. So take a look at this list and see which of these things you can predict that you may need this upcoming holiday season or currently today, this week in your life. And there may not, like this isn't an exhaustive list. There may be activities that really work for you that may be similar to some of these. Like if you don't swim, but you like to run, that can work too. So this image may spark some different ideas that feel more approachable to you and what you already do. So choose like 1 to 3 things on this happy chemicals list and add them to your 3-2-1 calm protocol. And if we look at the love chemical, there's also some actions that are about connection, talking or playing with a friend, doing something nice for someone. So these ones that involve other people, you might add them to the people I can call section or the people I can connect with. Even if that person is an animal, that works too. Like maybe when you're feeling down, what you really need is to play fetch with your dog. That is something you can put on your list. So just leave a couple more moments for you to take a look, identify what works for you in your life. And while you do that, I'm going to let my cat out of my office. Okay, let's keep moving forward with some other strategies you can add to your 3-2-1 calm protocol. So another way to find your calm is to focus on the present moment, to move away from focusing on the worries of the past or the future. So again, this is another tool image we share with young people in chats, in Clayful Coaching chats. And it suggests there are 3 different ways to come to the present moment. So we have on the top right, Triangle breathing, this is something even the Navy SEALs use in high stress situations to help them to stay focused on the mission. So maybe this holiday season, you have a mission to stay focused on. You need to go to the store, get the gravy ingredients, and not get distracted by all the work stress, whatever it is for you. Coming back to the present moment can help you stay more in control. And in the bottom left, we have the five senses, focusing on the physical five senses, focusing on the physical world around you can help you get out of your head and overthinking and back into the present moment. So maybe focusing on five things you can see, four things you can touch in your environment, three things you can hear, two things you can smell, one thing you can taste, taking a drink of water. And then the last strategy here is to, uh, yeah, have that positive self-talk. Tell your worries, thanks, but no thanks. Or maybe it sounds different for you. So again, these are things that you can add to your 3-2-1 calm protocol. And this last one was about saying things to yourself that feel helpful. So that's something that you can add to the third part here. Nice things you can say about yourself or to yourself. The key here is to find things that really work for you. So word them differently in a way that you would actually speak to yourself. And we're going to continue with this third one, and I'm going to share another resource of ways that you can have more positive self-talk or pep talk ideas. So I'm going to give y'all some time to actually build a couple of these sentences yourself. Or maybe you decide to even write a short letter to yourself that you can read. You can save it and you can read it when the stress hits this holiday season, or even next week, as soon as you want to apply some of these strategies. So let's just play it out with a real life example. So, and when I share this example, you may swap out some of the details with things that are relevant to you and PM, but it's already dark outside. You were just at the store picking up some groceries. You realized you forgot an important ingredient to make your gravy that you're making at the potluck tomorrow after work. You forgot this ingredient because you kept replaying in your mind something that happened at work that you weren't so proud of. And when you get home, your kids are yelling at each other. You just want some peace and quiet so you can think about what you're going to make instead of the gravy. So you yell at your children to pipe down, which makes you feel kind of bad and guilty. And now your body is feeling heavy and you just kind of want to go to bed now, but no one's even made dinner yet. This may be a real thing that actually happens to you. So what do you do in that moment? Well, you can pull out your 3-2-1 calm protocol and do something on the list. And maybe you feel like, I don't have time for self-care. I don't have time to do these things. So maybe all you have time for right now is to say something nice to yourself. Give yourself a little pep talk. Maybe it sounds like telling yourself, hey, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed, tired, and guilty. Remember, what's really important is that you take a deep breath, don't sweat the small stuff, and focus on your family. Remember that they love you even when you mess up. Maybe that helps you get your calm back, your control back. So I'll leave a couple more moments for y'all to look at these pep talk sentence starters. Maybe jot down a few that would work for you, that feel authentic to you. All right, finish up writing your last few words. And again, you can add these statements to the blue part of your 3-2-1 calm protocol, nice things you can say to yourself so that you have them when you need. Because in the moment of stress, we don't always remember the nice things to say to ourselves. So sometimes we need these outside structures, protocols, tools to help us remember, oh yeah, there are things I can do when I'm stressed that do help me. So that's the idea here. And this example I just shared about the gravy and yelling at the kids really highlights how daunting at times it can feel to balance the work, the school schedules, the holiday obligations. And this photo and this share that comes from an actual playful chat with a young person, it displays how young people feel sometimes when they come to chat. They have all these things going on, volleyball practice, they missed school, and they have all this homework, they need to get caught up, and they don't. So this is really common. And when young people come to chat about things like this, we have some tried and true focus strategies that we share with them to help them get more done, get back into action. So I'm going to share those with y'all today because you can use them for yourself too. You may have things on your to-do list to wrap the presents, to meal prep, to drive to the in-laws, whatever it is that you need to get done, you can utilize these focus strategies. And they may seem super simple, but sometimes simple is better. Perfectionism can have us overcomplicate life. So we can use these simple and effective focus strategies to get more done so that you can have time for what really matters to you. And we're going to also share these resources in our follow-up email. So you can even download those, you can print them out, you might put them on your fridge so that they can serve as a daily reminder of these different strategies that we're sharing today. Because as I shared before, like when we're in the stressful moment, it can be hard to remember that. So when we have it visually in our space, we see it and we're like, oh yeah, let me use that tool that I know works for me. Let me get into focus here. And this can also help to build a new habit, to interrupt the old habit. Because remember, the key to making change is to prevent what's predictable. It's predictable, you're going to get unfocused and scattered. So let's interrupt the pattern. Let's do something different. Come to your focus strategies so that you can create this little like formula thing we're working with here, which is practice, practice, practice. Because you're not going to get it perfect or right the first time, especially when you're building a new habit. It takes repetition until it becomes your new predictable. So speaking of focusing and getting more done, it's related to procrastination. Oftentimes we're like, I need to do it because we're not doing it, because we're avoiding doing it, because we're procrastinating. And some parents were really interested in us covering procrastination today. As a life coach, there's so much I could say about procrastination. When it comes to helping people reach their goals, it often comes up as a thing that stops people from doing what they want or need to do. And instead of telling yourself, just do it, which is what most people say when I coach them to overcome their obstacles, like, I just need to do it. I just need to do it. Sometimes willpower, brute force, and grit is only so helpful. And what can be more helpful is to actually understand the root of your procrastination. Why are you avoiding the thing that you want or need to do? Oftentimes we push these things off because it's attached to an uncomfortable feeling. It's not usually the thing itself that we don't want to do, whether it's sending out the invitations, going grocery shopping, finishing a presentation, working out, telling someone no, like whatever it is. We're actually usually avoiding feeling uncomfortable. Whatever thing you want or need to do is usually associated in the brain with a negative experience, whether it's obvious to you or not. So next time that you are procrastinating something, you have the self-awareness of, oh, I'm procrastinating right now. You may remember this and use that moment to check in. What uncomfortable feelings am I avoiding? And before what we are avoiding snowballs into something even more overwhelming, like waiting till the last minute deadline needed to be, there are some questions we can ask ourselves to help unpack and unravel why we don't want to wrap presents or whatever the thing is. So these are some questions that we use with young people to help them understand why they're procrastinating and to help them interrupt that pattern so it doesn't snowball into something bigger and they can get back into action. So I'll let you take a look at some of these. And later I'll show y'all that you can actually chat with a Clayful life coach yourself to help you unpack why you may be procrastinating with someone who is trained to do that. As one is 65% more likely to succeed when they set a goal and tell someone about it. So this is one of the reasons why life coaching is so powerful, because that accountability, that telling someone else that I need to work out, I want to work out, I'm going to work out, makes you more likely to actually follow through on it. So let's see some of these tools in action. So remember this example of the overwhelmed student that I shared. I'm going to show y'all how they applied some of these strategies that we've been talking about today to find their motivation and take back control of their life. So in this chat, you can see the Clayful coach ask them, when you think about where you want to start, where would that be? Because they had all these things that they needed to do. So we asked this question, what's one small step you can take? Where might you start? And they identified chemistry. Let's forget the rest. Let's focus on chemistry. And they decided to do the task, focus on my missing assignments in chemistry. And they also found their purpose. The Clayful coach asked them, why is that important to you? And then, by the way, they actually had to leave the chat because they had to go to their volleyball practice, so they couldn't finish the conversation. But when they got home, they came back to the chat and they shared that they found their motivation by finding their big why, their purpose. They want to work in a hospital one day. And realizing this was important to them helped them take their chemistry homework seriously. And by the way, there's messages that were shared in between here that aren't quite shown on all of the screenshots. I love this question that the coach asked. What helped you shift your mindset? Because it often is a mindset shift that occurs to help break a pattern and do something different. So now, like we can imagine that this young person had to give themselves a pep talk of some sort. Like, you want to have a job in the hospital, so this is important to you. And they gave themselves this pep talk to get excited about their future and their ambitions, giving it their all so that they can work in a hospital and make the money that they want. So that's how this student went from disempowered and unmotivated to in control around their future, by taking one step at a time. So this is a pretty cool example that I love to share, and it highlights some of these different tools that we've been working with that you can use for yourself. And speaking of procrastination and productivity, sometimes it's not a matter of your child being lazy or procrastinating. Sometimes it's actually a matter of their brain chemistry. It may be running low on dopamine, which is the chemical that fuels motivation, focus, pleasure, which often drops during depression. So one parent was really wanted us to cover how to spot and deal with depression in children. And one could write a whole entire book on this, so I'm just going to briefly share some things that are hopefully helpful. So here are some things to spot or look out for: a persistent low mood or irritability. This can also include if your child like experiences a lot of self-blame or guilt, like, oh, I did this wrong or I'm bad. They could be experiencing a loss in interest in things they used to enjoy. Maybe their sleep habits are changing, their appetite, eating habits are changing, and this may affect shifts in their weight. So if you notice that, that may be a sign that they may be experiencing depression. Withdrawal from friends and family, not socializing as much as they used to. Overall low energy, fatigue, trouble concentrating or making decisions. So if you see that impacting their schoolwork or things that they used to do around the house, that may be an indication for you. Or even, because I said before, our body affects how we feel and how we think, and the reverse is true as well. So if they're feeling really guilty or anxious or bad in general, this can also manifest physically in headaches or stomach aches, especially if their eating has changed too. That can all affect how we feel in the body. And I also want to say that some of these things are normal for teenagers, like the moodiness, maybe withdrawing as well. Maybe they don't talk to you as much as they enter into their teenage years. So if you see some of these things, it may not, instantly mean my child is depressed. So rather you want to focus on how long are these things happening? Is it for over 2 weeks? Yeah, does it feel normal? Has there been a long time change in these things? And here are some different tips that may be helpful. So one is just noticing these things that you can spot. Noticing those changes and how long they've been going on, as I just said. And then also asking, listening, connecting, knowing that your interest in their life and your presence with them matters. So you might also watch the recording from the second webinar that we led about how to get your teen to open up. And it may sound like, hey, I've noticed you've seemed a little quieter lately, or you seem more tired, something going on, or how are you doing? Just making these gentle check-ins, making them non-judgmental, and then really listening when they share, not being dismissive of their feelings, like, oh, you'll be fine, or, this is normal for teenage years. Like, maybe it is, but sometimes that can minimize their experience as well. So we want to be there, present, listening when we ask about how they're doing. And then if symptoms last for more than 2 weeks, that's when you can schedule a visit with a pediatrician or a mental health provider, really when it's interfering with their daily functioning, or if it includes self-harm. Something that can be helpful is really maintaining healthy routines in your family around sleep, meals, activity, check-ins, healthy tech use. If you want some more support around healthy tech use, you can watch our last webinar, which is all about AI and social media use in teens and how to navigate that. So check out our blog on clayfulhealth.com for the recording and recap of that. And then lastly, tip 5, taking care of your own stress and emotions can affect and model how your children care for themselves. So you being present in this call today is you already doing that. And if you want even more tips on how to manage your own stress, the first webinar that we led in this series, Everyday Stress Solutions for Caregivers and Teens, covered that. So again, head to our blog to catch the recap if you haven't yet. So it's just a little overview on how to spot and work with depression. And now we're going to talk about setting boundaries. So during the holiday season, you may want to set a boundary around your schedule, knowing you may be doing more, having more social obligations. Maybe that's a lot for you. So maybe sometimes you need to set some boundaries so that you can come back to yourself, get your energy right, setting boundaries with what you do and don't have time for. Or you might want to set boundaries with a family member, including extended family members. If maybe you have a difficult history with one, and you really want to stay in your power when you may have to spend time with them during the holidays. I also want to acknowledge that that can be a really heavy subject. All families have their own stuff, and that could be its own 1-hour webinar in and of itself. Relationships can be hard because you can't always control the other person. So we have this fun tool that we share with young people when they're experiencing interpersonal issues, helping them realize you can't control people, but there are things that you can control. So specifically, we're going to cover these 4: setting boundaries, saying no, choosing how you respond, and expressing your needs. And if this is an image that feels helpful or relevant to you, feel free to take a snapshot of it. If it could be applicable to any interpersonal relationships you're navigating right now. If you can't change the person, choose what's best for you that you can do. And this is one of the most common tools that we use with young people because relationships are complicated and communication is so key in them. And we don't always know what to say or communicate that won't cause more issues. So this framework, which is adopted by nonviolent communication, it helps with resolving conflict and not escalating the conversation. And you'll get this one and again, all these resources as a takeaway that you can download later. And you can use it to set boundaries, to make requests, to share your feelings and be heard, all without blaming others or maybe triggering others even more. So we're going to break it down with some examples. So first step, I notice. For example, let's say we're talking to Uncle Joe. I noticed we haven't talked much since our disagreement last Christmas. You're just noticing the facts. Next step is I feel. I feel sad and I miss our closeness. Notice how I didn't say, I feel like you're going to be rude to me, or I feel like you make me feel angry, or I feel like you don't care about me, because that's all about the other person. So you want to focus on our own feelings. Using this feelings wheel if it's helpful. Because I need connection and understanding, even if we see things differently. What is it that you need? What's the need behind the feeling? And then step 4, making a doable request. Would you please be open to having a calm conversation sometime this week to clear the air before we all visit as a family? So I just went through all 4 steps, making this doable request, asking for what you want. Let's share some other examples. So this is about your time, your schedule, your energy. So I noticed we've been planning for the holidays and most of the cooking and prep have fallen on me. I feel stressed and a bit resentful because I need more balance and rest so that I can actually enjoy our time together. Would you please choose one dish to bring or help me clean up after dinner? Let's do another. I notice that every year there are jokes or comments about my life choices when we're all together. I feel hurt and tense when that happens because I need to feel respected and safe being myself around family. Would you please avoid commenting on my job or relationship this year so we can focus on catching up in other ways? And last example. I notice there's an expectation that everyone joins the big gift exchange. I feel anxious because finances are tighter for me this year. Because I need to be honest about my limits and still feel included, would you please be okay if I skip gifts this year, but still join for the celebration? Now, don't those examples sound a lot nicer, calmer, more cooperative? So that is the power of nonviolent communication. And you can use this framework to request what you need and to set boundaries around your schedule and family obligations or however else it's valuable in your life. You may bring it to work and share something with a coworker. It's a really great tool, one of the most common ones we use with young people in Clayful coaching chats. So just have a couple more things I'm going to share before we wrap up here. And I want to take a beat to acknowledge are hard for some units lost in their units waves of. So this call we've been speaking about what's predictable, what can we predict may come up in these upcoming seasons. So if it's predictable for you to experience grief over the holidays, what can you put in place to support yourself through that before it may take you and feel overwhelming and then you feel like you don't have the capacity to get yourself out of it. So we're not trying to take away the grief here, rather to take care of yourself extra during that difficult time. So here's another resource you can screenshot and consider which of these elements may be most helpful for you, or if they spark any ideas of things that maybe aren't on this image. So, starting to wrap up, we shared many different tools, ways you can connect with others, things that you can say to yourself. So, what did you put in place for yourself? And this is a framework, a worksheet that you can provide for your children too. For them, maybe it's related to stress and testing season. So you're like, hey, let's take a look at this. You know, you get stressed out during tests. So let's proactively think about 3 things you can do that help you calm down, people you can reach out to when you're getting stressed, and nice things you can say to yourself that, make you realize you're capable. Or maybe it's related to anxiety before sport or performances, or anything else that your children may predictably struggle with. This can help them to break that pattern and come back into control faster, building confidence, resilience, and relief for them. Here is a review of what we've covered today. We're building mental strength in this conversation with these tools and topics. There is a reality where you do not have to be stressed out this holiday season, even if you usually are. And the key is to practice something different to prevent what's predictable. So this involves checking in to be present with your thoughts, emotions, and body sensations so that you can interrupt whatever pattern you may be in that doesn't serve you. In that presence is a choice point to shift. to interrupt that pattern and do something different than what you normally do. So use your 3-2-1 calm protocol with your list of strategies that work for you to release stress and feel more in control. We talked about sometimes we procrastinate or don't do what we know we ought to do because we're avoiding an uncomfortable feeling. So again, checking in with yourself can help you to learn why. And you all actually have access to Clayful Coaching yourself to unpack more of this, whether it's about procrastination, relationships, health, work, parenting, all the buckets of life that are important. We have trained life coaches that you can speak with. So for the rest of our time, the 3 minutes we have here, I want to share some offerings that we have for caregivers. And I shared some of this last week and on our previous webinar. So if you were already present and learned about it then, it's going to be the same information. So you're welcome to go on with your night. And if this is the first time you're hearing about it and you want to check it out, I'm going to drop a link in the chat box that you can click. And you may be rostered and you may not. Sometimes there's issues depending on when you registered for this webinar. So if you have any questions or issues, you can email coaches@clayfulhealth.com and we will get you taken care of. And if chatting with a real human coach feels like a big jump for you right now, and you're like, oh, I don't know about that, I don't know what to expect, what may feel like a shorter and easier, more approachable next step for you is to join our 4-week program called the Back to School Reset, made exclusively for caregivers. This is great because you don't have to book an appointment, you don't have to show up for anything. You simply get a little text, a tidbit sent to you every day for 4 weeks to, I'll go out to this next screen. This is essentially some of the different content and the tips that you'll receive. And it's another daily reminder to check in with yourself, to remind you that you actually have control over your life. You can interrupt stress patterns with these approachable strategies. So if that feels like something that could really fit in your life and be of value to you, you can sign up with the link that you can see up there. I also just put it in the chat box. Again, if you run into any issues, you can email coaches@clayfulhealth.com. Here's that link again. And with our last minute, I have a request to give your child consent to chat with a Clayful coach if you haven't already. If they are under 13, they have to have consent to chat with a coach. If they're over 13, they don't. However, if you live in California, your child's school can get reimbursed this year for using Clayful as a wellness service and get reimbursed through Medi-Cal. So still click that link that I just put in the chat, or that's right here. It'll ask what school your child attends. If you live in California, it'll then ask for insurance information. And if you so willingly share that, your school can get reimbursed for this, which is pretty cool because we know schools are chronically underfunded. So it's our request that you fill that out so that more of the world can have mental strength so that we can all thrive. And lastly, we'd love to have your feedback. So if you could take a couple of minutes, can scan, will give you is better for you, hear it, because we really want to create things that actually are valuable to you, that actually make the world better. So please share your honest feedback, and we read every single one. All right. I appreciate you all so much, those who attended live, those who are watching the recording right now. And we're so thankful for your presence today. Have a great rest of your day, night, week, whenever you're watching this.